Good afternoon. Welcome to the QCIS channel. On this channel, you get a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. My name is Leon Jones, and today I'm going to talk about asphalt formulas. So, the title of this afternoon's video is Asphalt Formulas for Paving Operations. Now, every state has a construction operation that deals with paving. Now, when you're an inspector out there, many of us understand the tasks of paving to make sure that the contractor is meeting the requirements set by the project plans and specifications. Now, the tasks that I am talking about are taking temperatures, using a temperature gun, taking cores, which are samples, and of course, plate samples, and understanding where to take plate samples are needed. Of course, asphalt uses lots and sublots. Now, in Indiana, they use for base and binder. Binder is known as intermediate course. They use three 1,000, no, they use 5,000 or 1,000 sublots, which a lot size is 1,000. So each sublot is 1,000. That's for base and binder. For binder is known as intermediate. Now, when you get to surface, the lot size is 3,000 and the sublots are 600 tons. That's right. The unit for asphalt is always tonnage. Now, we already know that as an inspector, if you've been doing it as long as I've been doing it. Now, what's missing in the equation is, how do you know if the contractor is putting the asphalt down too thin or too thick? How many inches are required to put down? 1.5 inches, 2.5 inches, 4.5 inches. That's the important part, because the numbers are very significant, because when you deal with asphalt, it's a pay item. Now, I'm going to show you how we get those numbers. Just bear with me as I share the screen here. Just bear with me. So I'm going to go up and show you how we get all those items. I'm going to show you how we get those numbers. Those numbers are very, very important. I'm going to share my screen right now, and you're going to see what I'm talking about. Now, let me make it a little larger so you can see. Now, when I talk about those numbers, and these are all numbers that I've calculated, and the areas are made up, I made them up. That's just to give you a little cheat sheet of understanding what I'm talking about. And you can use this anywhere, because every state uses lots and sublots when it comes to asphalt. Now, I'm going to start off with some items here, because you need to know what they mean. And these are examples. Now, first of all, we talk about the thickness. Thickness generally, I'm going to just say 3 inches or 0.25 feet, because what I'm trying to calculate is what is the weight of asphalt that's being placed. So we have our lay rate or our yield, and that's 110 pounds per square yards per inch. That's generally for 1 inch of compacted asphalt material. Now, also you need to know 2,000 pounds equal 1 ton. So something else you need to know is that generally on an average, a dump truck is 20 tons per truckload. In other words, I have it 20 tons for a truckload. And of course, when we deal with area, we deal with length times width. So let's go to the problem that I've already calculated. All right. What I'm going to show you is how I came up with the weight of asphalt. Now, they started placing asphalt at station 0 plus 00 to 20 plus 00. So looking at everything, that's 2,000 feet. Now, generally a lane is 12 feet wide. So I indicated the width with 12 feet. Now, with all that being said, let's calculate the weight. So I took the length, because I'm dealing with area, which is 2,000 feet, times the width, which is 12 feet. Came up with 24,000 square feet. Now, you know, when we deal with area, we deal with square yards. So we divide by 9 square feet to a square yard. So once I divide by 9, I come up with roughly, and this is whole numbers, 2666. That's a square yard area, or 2667. So I then take my area, multiply it by my thickness, which is 3 inches, times 110 pounds per square yard per inch. And what did I come up with? 880,110 pounds of asphalt. So this 2,000 times 12, or the 24,000 foot area, you're going to place just over 880,000 pounds of asphalt. Now, I told you before we deal with tons as well. So how many tons are we going to be placing for 2,000 feet? Here's the answer. I take my 880,110 pounds of asphalt that I'm supposed to place, and I convert it to tons. Now, you know, there's 2,000 pounds to a ton. So I divide 880,000 by 110,000 pounds. Let me correct myself. I take 880,110 pounds and divide it by 2,000. And I come up with 440 tons. That's how many tons of asphalt is going to be placed over a 24,000 square foot area, a mat. Now, I'm going to even take it a little further. How many trucks am I going to need to place 440 tons of asphalt across a 24,000 square foot area? Now, how do I get that? Well, I simply take the tons, the tons per area that I got from dividing 880,110 pounds by 2,000, which I came up with 440 tons. And I'm going to divide 440 tons by, and I just told you right up here, 20 tons per truckload. So one truck is 20 tons. So, and that's just an average. Some trucks come in at 19.8, some at 20.2, but generally we use a round number of 20. So I'm going to take 440 tons and divide it by 20 tons, and you're going to need 22 trucks. Now, there's another way that you can also do this equation too. What about using volume? Volume is the length times width times thickness times 145. Now, 145 is generally the density of asphalt, which is 145 pounds per cubic foot. So what I did here is I took 2,000 times 12 times the thickness, but I converted 3 inches to 0.25, so everything is in feet. And what did I come up with? I came up with the volume, 6,000 feet times 145 pounds per cubic feet. And what does that do? That gets rid of cubic feet. And I came up with 870,000 pounds, roughly close when you utilize the volume. When I utilized the equation from the volume, I was also close, back real close. So what I did for that equation is I took 870,000 pounds and divided by 2,000, came up with 435 tons. And here I got 440 tons. So the numbers are relatively close, although you can see they're roughly 10,000 pounds apart. Now, looking at the equation, I took 435 tons that I got from this equation by dividing 870,000 pounds for 2,000 pounds to get my tons. And I utilized the same tonnage for one truck of 20 tons. And I came out with 21.75, which I rounded up to 22 trucks. So basically, when you use both methods, the area and the volume, you're going to come out to roughly the same number. Now, utilizing that's how much weight in pounds and tons you're going to be placing of asphalt. Now, something else that's important is the yield. Now, what is yield? Yield is going to be basically, it's going to come down to pounds per square yards. Now, that yield is significant because the contractor could be placing the concrete too thin or too thick. So what I've done here, I've drawn another map. This one's a little shorter. I utilized 300 feet, starting at station 0 plus 00 to 300 over 3 plus 00, gave me my 300 feet. That's my length. It's a 12-foot lane. That's my width. So I came up with the area. 300 times 12. The units are in feet. I came up with 3,600 square feet. I took 3,600 square feet, converted it to square yards. So when I converted to square yards, I came up with 400 square yards. Now, that's very significant because now I have to look at, well, what's my depth? Well, my depth is 3 inches. So if it's 3 inches, what should my yield be? Well, very simple. I'm going to take my 400 square yards multiplied by 3 inches by basically 1 inch. 1 inch is 110 pounds per square yards per inch. And I come up with 132,000 pounds because you have to come up with the total weight first before you can actually do the yield. Now, once I have my weight of 132,000 pounds, I simply divide that by my area, which is 400 square yards, and my yield is 330 pounds per square yards. Now, of course, the inches basically disappear. Why do the inches disappear? Well, 3 inches and the inches over here in 110 pounds per square yards per inches cancel. And that's what your yield should be. If you come up with anything less than that or greater than that, you have to talk to the contractor and tell them you're either placing it too thin or too thick. Now, there's another way to actually get that number without going through all the theory that I put out. Simple way to do it is you take 3 inches and you multiply it by 110 pounds per square yards per inch. You come up with 330. That's what you're supposed to get. And generally, there is, I call it data. 1 inch is 110 pounds per square yards per inch. 1.5 inches, 165. 2 inches times 110, 220. 3 inches, 330. Just use this information. But that's how you come up with the yield. Now, also another way you could come up with the yield too, if you know what depth the contractor is placing, is you have a fluff factor of 1/4 inch. And once it's compacted, you should already know by measuring. You can also use a ruler. They're going to be placing 4 inches. You can measure the depth with a ruler. But the numbers are significant so you understand how they come up with all this information, because contractors are paid for the amount of tonnage they place for asphalt. Now, something else that needs to happen too. A lot of times individuals don't do this, but I do it. What about length or distance of asphalt placed by one truck? Well, how many feet does a truck have to basically go to? Let's say, let me give you a scenario at 300 feet. So how many trucks are we going to need? And then what's the distance? What the amount of trucks we need? I'm going to show you right now. I already calculated the area for you, 3,600 square feet. I came up with 400 square yards. And then I went through the same mathematics as I did for the yield. But this time, I came up with trucks, 66 tons. Well, 66 tons is going to be roughly 4 trucks. Now, how did I come up with the distance of 300? Very simple. I took 300, divided it by 4 trucks. So each truck is going to place 3 inches of asphalt 75 feet. So it's going to take 4 trucks of which is going to be 66 tons. And this is very significant because you need to know this when you're dealing with your lots, when you're going to take your cores and your plate samples. So basically, distance for each truck placing asphalt, you take the total length of asphalt placement divided by the number of trucks. In other words, here's the total length divided by the number of trucks. Each truck is going to place 75 feet of asphalt. Now, again, something else that you should know as well, density of asphalt is 145 pounds per cubic foot. Maximum weight of each load is 73,280 pounds. You need to check the ticket because if it's over that, you got to reject the truck. It's illegal. And of course, you do have some 26 and some 53-foot dump trailers, and the max load is between 23 and 25 tons. And that's all I have for calculating yield, distance, number of trucks, and weight of asphalt. You like what I just presented? Definitely please comment, share, and subscribe. All these videos are used for training videos. I just believe it's very important to understand what goes into placing asphalt. When you deal with engineering, surveying, inspection, you have to understand the math. And what I just provided for you was some simple math. You can follow that. And if you have any questions, you can leave them in my comment section. If there's something that I missed, I will go back and explain it as well. But again, please like, share, and subscribe to the QCIS channel. And if you're looking for more social content, you check out my main channel, the 411 Talk Zone Radio Show on YouTube as well. Now, if you cannot find the 411 Talk Zone Radio Show or the QCIS channel on YouTube, you can find both of those channels on my Twitter page. For the QCIS channel, I take it one step further since it is an educational channel. You can also find the QCIS channel on my LinkedIn page. And once again, thank you for viewing this video on asphalt formulas from the QCIS channel. On this channel, you get a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful and gracious day.